Good afternoon, traders. Hope you all had a great weekend. Welcome to Trade Setup and the live stream for the 14th of November. Um, Now we've just going to obviously we'll go through the usual today. We'll take a look at what the markets did. We've had a couple of big moves on Friday night, especially in gold. If anyone saw that, down $40 on gold. So we'll have a bit of a market recap. Just go through a few charts of what we're looking at and some potential levels just to keep an eye on. And also today, what we're going to do is take a new tact. We're going to take a look at some medical stocks that we reckon are ready to fire. They're looking really good. They've got some good fundamental backing, some really good reasons to move higher. So we'll look at that and we'll attach the technical view. So just go through those. Anyway, I hope we're all doing well. Now, again, if you want to send through any chat for later on, anything just you want to take a quick look at later, just after we go through those stocks, send it to support at tradesetup.com.au, or you can just whack it on chat. Just put the code in on chat. So we'll take a look at those a bit later on. All right, just letting you all know too that we've got a new website that's as of today. So we're just going through, just getting that ready, getting that finalised. You can see it up on the screen there. Just let me quickly check something. So you can see that up on the screen. Yeah, just take a look through that. You can actually see the results to date. So feel free to click on those and just take a bit of a look through. Take a look through the site. Let us know anything you see as well. Any ideas? Anything you want? Any questions? Again, just send them through to the same support at tradesetup.com.au. All right, I know I repeat that a lot, but anyway. All right, guys, let's get started. Let's take a look at some markets to start with. At the moment, the XJO is down 38 points, opened up a bit lower. It wasn't a big move in the US on Friday night. Pretty much, I think the Dow was slightly up and the S&P was down. So the thing is, I think the US dollar is still dropping a bit. They're still looking, well, I think it's still a bit of everyone reposition themselves for a potential Trump, and just to see how they're going to affect the overall market. I think, that Trump and all his rhetoric or whatever has been to do with growth, and I think obviously everyone's looking at it as good for the economy. He's going to do everything he can to get that inflation higher and to really push growth on. So I think the market's taken that fantastic. So we'll just see if it can continue on with it. Now, we'll go through the ASX. Just look at some charts there. Let's start with the ASX. So we're looking at this morning. The 53.32 zone was the important level. Hasn't done too much, and that should be updated a bit better than that, I think. Let me just quickly refresh that chart. Just bear with me a second, guys. No, sorry that we can't have that. Let me just get that up. So we all had a good weekend. Anyone get up to any mischief? I know a few people did. I won't name names. Me, it wasn't me. I'm a very conservative bloke nowadays. Alright, so we can see the market is pushed down, and we realize, well, it's not working out well. We're testing that. We just got through that 53.32 to 35 zone. We're heading on that 53.23. That's sort of a key level. If it gets through there, you can see that washout overnight of that high at 53.83. Now the market it did get a bit extended. At the moment it's pushed all the way down. This is only a 30-minute chart, don't forget, not the daily. We get into that oversold territory, so for it to push down it's going to take a bit of an effort, and it looks like this, putting all that together could hold up that 53.20, 25 mark. And if we can just get a bounce up and take out a few of those minor lower highs, we may get a bit of just bounce off that low and a bit of contraction higher to retest those highs and see if we can push our way through that. Again, we'll look at the US as well. That's getting to look a bit oversold. Let's take the daily chart just on the ASX, but it looks like it's got the potential to roll over, obviously, like anything has, I guess. But just get rid of some of this muck. Now, there are our key levels. You can see that it's getting rejected, those highs on the longer term time frame on the daily. It is it is in that zone where, you know, it's getting up there. It could just roll over. I mean, it's had a good bounce back, a good fight back from those lows around 51.30. We could just contract a bit lower, you know, take out some of those highs after that really good rally over the last few days, build another minor high low, and then push our way back up and through 53 or 5400, so back to these new highs. But we have made major lower highs. You can see that major lower high at 5500 thereabouts. Let's just get rid of that. It's not important at the moment. So you can see that we've got a high right up here, and we've got that major lower. I think that's really going to put a bit of pressure on the market at the moment, that major lower high. So we could be seeing the potential for that just to hold that level after those rejection candles. You know, MAs are pointing down. We could just push right back down to retest. I don't think we're going to get all the way back down to 50.45 or 50.50 zone, which was a major support. I don't think we'll get down there, but it's looking, if this continue positivity in the US, if that continues to flow through, we should see that higher low build, and we just get that longer term build for a push up. Yeah, no, the market does look sort of a range bound at the moment. All right, let's take a look at the US, just see how that's playing out. Look at that massive washout there. The key level for me is really down here at the moment. Yeah, it's a major zone, 1995. It's a long way away, really. Yeah, it's a couple of hundred points away, well, 180 points away at the moment. But you can see that market's looking a bit stretched into those highs at 2190. You can see major support right through here. This is a daily basis. Yeah, we have that sort of consolidation through there, and then just a big sell-off, and it builds its way back up. We had another big sell-off, washed out that zone. That's a major support, even from, you know, a lot further back, just right back to here, right back to, what was that, 2014. So it's touched on there a few times now. If we do get a rollover and push down here, this could be a major high low, you know, that 2000 mark. Obviously, there's a lot of work to do. It's a long way off, but you can see that really push up. We took out these highs. If we can just took out those highs at 2130, 35, made all-time highs at 2190 or just above, and then roll over and a big washout. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Obviously, we do view that as extended. You can see the stochastics are right up there. Nothing to say it can't pull back, make a minor high low, and then bang straight through. But yeah, it's looking a bit stretched. I think the market's going to react off this zone, and it looks like it is reacting off this resistance zone here. We'll see how that goes in the next few days. Now gold. Actually, before we get to gold, let's just take a look at Aussie. Anyone got any opinions on obviously ASX at the moment and the S&P? If this Trump rally is going to continue? Yeah, feel free to put them up to chat. Now the Aussie, this is a daily view. We're just taking a longer term view on these things at the moment. You can see that major zone. Let's just get that up there. Major zone. Sort of holding these levels at the moment. Don't like that. Major support at 69, say 69 even, 69.10. We've worked our way up, quite strong initially, and pushed our way up to 78.30, and then we come back a major high low at that 71.50 zone, and we've been making sort of these inside high lows and just really, holding up. So we're right back down on that support at the moment. That's 75.20 to 25 mark at the moment. We have got some inside resistance at 77.50, which is touched, and we have just recently washed out with that. I think that was just before Trump, and then it popped through there, and then worked our way back down to support, and we are at sort of a support zone. We've got some minor high low there at 75.10, say. So we are extended down into that zone as well, down into that support zone. So it'll be interesting to see if we can hold that and build our way back up from there. What we want to be looking at just on the Aussie is, if this overhigh, you can see that overhead resistance too. We've got a lower high on the very long term at 81.50 to 60. Another lower high potentially at 78.30. So this could easily just roll over, take out these lows. We'd want to see for that type of price action, just if it can bounce off here, if it builds that lower high, somewhere around that 76.50 or thereabouts, that could easily roll over and just wash out these lows and just go all the way direct and potentially retest that 71.50 We'll see how that goes. There's obviously a lot of work to do before we see that. Now gold. Let's take a look at gold. We know what happened to gold. $40, down $40 on Friday night. A really big sell-off. And you can see that at the moment, that chart doesn't look too pretty. We've got a key level at 1200 or 1205. That support, which is the recent lows, which sort of we had that leg up, projected up from that zone, the 1200. We projected up to the highs at 1375, and then really just these lower highs worked and put pressure on the market, and then we eventually broke through 1305. Looking to hold up at that 1250 originally, and then an initial thrust through looked quite positive, and then we got that thrust through up to 1342, and then just bang, sold all the way down from there. Now that's a decent move over a few days. 120 bucks, 120 drop, $120 drop on gold. So it's really flushed out a lot of longs. So that's going to put them on the sidelines. Potential fuel for later on, we don't know. But this, if we're going to see higher prices in gold, we need this zone to hold up. At the moment, it's still looking okay. I mean, yeah, a couple of bad days. It's not going to ruin anything just yet, but if that support can hold around that 1200 mark and we get those high lows build, that's going to, it could potentially look really nice. A lot of work to do again. So these again on the daily chart, the same as the Aussie and the ASX. Well, the ASX was a 30-minute chart, but you get my drift. There's still a lot of work to do, and we could see. Let's just drill back a bit more. Yeah, we're getting up. You can see that longer term view has really come through. It's pushed up into those resistance zones. See, these moves down haven't been too solid, especially here. Took out that low at 1079 and then just built from there. So we could just really be building a very longer term high low. We'll see if that can hold up though, and that could just project straight up through those highs and have a good, nice, strong leg higher. But we'll have to see. All right. Let's just see what the shorter term price action is doing at the moment. Yeah, at the moment on the shorter term time frame, the 30-minute chart, that's still down. We've still got some key levels. You're building those lower highs, but we are into a strong support zone. So we'll just see if we get some reaction off that zone and we start washing out a few of these late short sellers and just taking them out and just getting that, flushing a few of the short positions out, and then some buyers start stepping in, building those high lows and work our way back up. Alrighty, let's just see where the market is at the moment. Down 40 points. Still sort of, it's opened down quite weak. It's sold off just on the open. It's holding down at the moment. Let's just get this longer term. Yeah, the ASX, so some good support there. It's really extended up. We'll see how that carries through. US session tonight, we might have another strong week in the US. Some of the stocks we're looking at, we've got ASX was a short. We took a profit, a partial anyway, down at that 45.50. I think it's just bounced back and got us out for the remaining. Small gain on that short, so it was still pretty good. Telstra, that's still could really extend that. We've got potentially some down to that 440.50 mark. Still could potentially push down to that support zone there. It's looking really weak, and that price structure doesn't look good at all. Even on the daily, it's starting to accelerate down, so we might get another couple of solid moves down. So I don't think that's over yet. There's short on TGR. I think if we can get through that 370, even just below that 370, that's going to extend down into 350. Really accelerate hard down into that. That could potentially be that lower high building at 385. So either way, at the moment on this trade here, we've got pretty much a break-even trade booked in at the moment. We'll see if we get a chance to take a partial exit on that as well. The way the market's looking at the moment, if we start getting that rollover on the ASX, I think this is going to start kicking in. All right, now let's get into it. Let's take a look at some stocks that we really like. Now, the three names we're looking at, we've got another one as well. We've actually got RAP, is MVP. So we'll start off with that one, MVP, which is medical. Let me just get the code up there. Medical Developments International. And it's just had a bit of a news release today. That we really like the story behind this one. You can see that big run up we've had, and it's just contracting low at the moment. But it could easily just continue. We want to see that base build and then project back up. But the story behind this is really nice. We'll go over that now. The other one is AHZ, and that's got a nice story behind it too. So I think you can see that longer term base holding up through here. Good news announcement taken positive by the market. Big kick up into that resistance at 55, and we've just sold off since then. But we'll see. We'll go through the technicals a bit later on. And the other one is a Neurotech International Limited. It's only been on for a few days. Just spotted this one the other day. Started looking at it, and it looks, we hit what was that, Friday, new all-time highs, and that's could really project higher. It's got a good story behind it too. A lot of potential in this one as well, especially that it's new. When you get these stocks that come on new, that said that opened up, pushed a bit higher, bit of a sell off. That initial profit taking, whoever's holding it from the open, don't know what the float was. That sell off, and that's just kicked up from that 24 zone, another 10 cents. But these could really go on. That initial flurry of buying can push it right up. So we'll keep an eye on this one. If it gets through just those little highs there at 34.5 to 35, get through there, that's some new highs, and it could just really kick on. So we'll talk about that one as well. And the last one, RAP. You can see that big move up if we get a best fit there. And it is, even on the weekly, it's coming to that zone. So we'll talk about that one as well. Now let's kick it off. MVP. I hope you can all see that there. Medical Developments International. Now, it's an Australian-based company. It's actually not far from where I am, based in Melbourne, in Springvale in Melbourne. They do all their main core business is the delivery of emergency medical solutions. They're a leader in the emergency pain relief. Okay. One of their key products, which is what's got us really interested, is Penthrox. Okay, Penthrox is it's an emergency pain relief, so it's a non-opiate as well, which I think is a big thing now, especially in the States. They had a release to a news release. Let me just see if I can get that. Just give me one tick. I might as well just quickly. It's a fourth. It's a long way away, but that news release, we'll just get back. So it was from FDA top officials. It was on the 4th of February this year. Top officials call for sweeping review of agency opioids policy. So apparently, a big thing over there, well, a big thing everywhere, I guess, is in response to the opioid abuse epidemic. It looks like they're calling for another answer, I guess, to it. Just non-opioid for pain relief, and this is where I think MVP really fits in well. Medical developments, because that's what they're based around, and this Penthrox, so far over here, it's been taken up really well, and they've got major businesses overseas. I think, let me just get that data there. They've got major licensing deals around the world, about 15 different countries. Mainly, they've got a big one just come out recently in Canada, licensing to distribute that Penthrox in Canada. They've got the UAE, UK, Ireland, and France are some of the big ones. Obviously, there's more than that, but the potential for this drug just to go worldwide is what we think is really, really good. And you can see that, obviously, from the chart, you've had that big leg up. So now, I think the key is this, they've released it, well, not released it in the United States, but FDA approval. Okay, so currently it's going through FDA approval in the United States. Now, if they get through that, which is, well, you never know, but it's looking very likely that it's going to get through that, because the basis that it's been approved everywhere else. and it's been big in Australia for a long time now, and they've had no issues with it whatsoever. It's looking really good. So if that gets that approval, I think that the basis for this stock and to really get a good move higher is all there. The fundamentals are there. It's looking good, and they just had some good news out today. Now we can click on that. Well, it's not a big report, but it's just they signed a deal. You can see that there. Signed, I can barely say that, respiratory deal, and receives first order. Finalised a distribution deal with McKesson Corp in the US. Now I think that sort of puts them in good stead in their distribution outlets in the US, but pretty much right across the US in all pharmacies now. So they've got all those distribution in place. They've all done deals around different companies, obviously. So all that's in place. It's just ready. If they get that FDA approval for distribution into US, I think this could be massive. It can be really, really good. And I'd expect to see some really strong buying into that stock. Okay, you should see what else we've got on this. Okay, so there's the key points. It's been used safely in Australia for, I think it was about 30 years. 30 years in Aussie. It's non-opioid, which is a big factor for this drug. Yeah, and they're just waiting for that FDA approval. So it's got the potential to really kick on. Let's take a look at a chart. So we'll go right back. So you can see it's spaced out. It's been going since 2004. Obviously more than that, I think. Yeah, about 2004. Spent a lot of time below that $1 mark. Obviously pushed up below there, but spent pretty much from 2005, mid 2005, a lot of time below there. And it pushed up through there 2012, mid 2012, had a good run up to $2. Come back, just retested that quite a few times, built some lower highs, and then broke out towards the end of 2014, and it's really pushed up strong through 2015 into early 2016. So at the moment we're just seeing the price contract. Okay, let's go to the weekly here. Would have been, that's, you know, for us that's an ideal entry through there, and you can see that was set up quite nicely. Yeah, so I think that was a big thing about non-opioids. Davin's just wrote something. Too many US people hooked on prescription opioids. So to go, you know, the benefit of this drug here is, you know, Penthrox is it's non-opioid. So I think obviously just going through the testing stage, but that is looking really, really good. So through 2013, you can see into 2015, you know, some really contraction, holding up that $1 zone, that $1 mark. Did wash it out early on in 2014, then held that zone, and we can see just in here, if we just draw this up, get on the chart. Here we go. Okay. Now you can see that, you know, good support through there. $1. The price has just been squeezed down. We had that little breakout, and then we popped up. So that would have been a nice little entry, really low risk there. And we've been working our way up since. So I think technically, it's really just contracting back down to support. We could be getting, I don't know what's going to happen from here, but it could easily just contract back down. We're seeing good signs of rejection in here. Buyers are stepping in, and we're getting, you know, into that oversold territory. So the likelihood of it continuing down is getting a bit harder. And you can see that it's really squeezing in there. 450 holding up there. So I think what we're doing is really keeping an eye on this MVP. I think the story behind it is looking great, and the potential for it to really kick on and take out these highs, you know, up towards a 7. It's got a great story, so it's just really we're just waiting to see that technical setup, and that's what we obviously with TradeSetup and with the app, you'll get those alerts when coming through once they start setting up and once we see our setups that we like. Now, if we go back into the daily, just drill it in a bit more. We get a better picture than that. We'll just look at some key levels, but we'll be focusing in on just that daily chart there to see if we can get a nice little setup there and see if we can back up that story. Alright, you can see that's been pushing down. Now we did have that $5 mark. It was starting to show some signs. We had that bounce off there, a bit of a washout. Then we started holding that up through here, but really just held the resistance there, and we're working our way lower. Big washout the last couple of days, down to 450. So now what we want to see is really that that big washout, and see if we can just contract and can build those high lows and work our way through. And then we're obviously going to have a bit of a level up. Oh, it's not very nice. That level up there at 5. Let me just get that up there. High 540. I think we'll start seeing a bit of action if these levels can hold some higher lows, and we get up to that that zone up to 540. It's going to be key. But obviously we'll keep an eye on that one. Looking good. Any questions on that, guys? And has anyone heard of this one before? Anyone been watching MVP? Alright. It's looking good. Let's just see what it's doing today. 480. It's been held down here. Hasn't really done much today. It is holding down in that 480 zone at the moment. Has been down here a couple of days. Alright, let's take a look at our next one. AHZ. Now that, just by looking at that price action, it's looking nice. Yeah, so what we're trying to do, obviously, with these is we love the stories behind them. Okay, and we're just trying to put that in together with a setup. So we're just waiting to qualify the risk on the actual setups. So once we see that play out, then they'll obviously be alerted to the TradeSetup app, and something these ones we've been following for a while. So once the risk actually it plays out to what we like to see, and we see some failed continuation low, and we see those high lows build, and we can quantify our risk, and then we're expecting that support from that longer term story, then we'll be alerting to those. But AHZ at the moment, let's just go over that one there. It's looking good. You can see that, just quickly looking at that chart, it's really been, you had that big strong push up to 180, and it's just been sold down. Well, it's been the last few years obviously, but it's in a really longer term support zone, and there's been some good news that have filtered through. Okay, let's just give me 1 second there, guys. Alright, let's just get the story behind this one. Let's just go down. I've got some news in here. So Admedus Limited, okay, Admedus Limited, AHZ. It's a rapidly growing diversified global healthcare company. If we get the news up here, investing in developing the next generation technologies of medical devices. The company focuses on commercializing tissue engineering technology for the use in cardiovascular and soft tissue repair surgery. Okay, AHZ operates in 4 segments: medical products and devices, bioimplant operations, and regenerative medicine R&D, and immunotherapies R&D. All right, so we're getting it's got those three areas that it likes. Let me just look at what we've got here. Infusion, cardio cell, I think is the big one. Proprietary bioscaffold tissue technology for cardiovascular surgical repairs. We've got medical products and devices and bioimplant operations. These divisions are engaged in distribution and manufacturing of medical devices, equipment, and a sales, marketing, logistics, and technical service across Australia and New Zealand. The company provides medical devices in the following areas: cardiology, infusion systems, urinary catheters, obstetric, and feature products. All right, let me just get the latest news here. Just bear with me 1 second there, guys. All right. So let me just get that latest news. So they did a capital raising just recently. Let me just see when it was back on. So we've got it just back here, the 17th. I think that was right. 33. So at the moment, that capital raising, you can see through here at 33 is held quite nicely. So, and we had that big news on the 17th, which was the FDA clearance granted for Vescucell. All right, and that obviously the market took that really well. And we got that big push up into 55. So you can go through. You can go to the websites, by the way. You can go through to just to read up more on it. Admedus.com, just to get the latest news releases, just to build that picture of the fundamental story. You can see that massive push up up to 55, and you had a bit of a back off there, but that was taken really positive, those news. Obviously FDA approval is going to be good out into the US for launch into the US. It's scheduled for, I think it's mid-November 2016. Oh, it's just kicked off, of 2 product sizes, targeting 500 million global vascular repair market. Okay, so it's massive. Let's just take a look at the chart. All right. Just get a better picture than that, sorry. Alright, so you can see price there. We'll just get that picture up. It's not working for me today. Alright. So some really nice support through 27. You can see that capital raising at, well, it was around there, 33. And that's held up quite well. Then you got that FDA approval through there, and we've pushed straight up into that really strong day up into 55. So there's support holding. You've got originally at 27.5, and you got some sort of 33 down to 30 thereabouts. Another high low holding there. So the base that it's building is really nice. You can see that with that big push up on the 17th, it really broke some downtrending resistance zone down there. So what we want to see now, obviously for entry, we want to see these levels hold. Okay, so the story is quite good with the FDA approval into the US with a massive market. Yeah, huge market in the US, obviously. We want to see this level hold. It's pushed up, pulled back, holding that 33 mark, and some of these minor levels in here just be taken out. We potentially want to see, draw that up, put a big spike up. Let's just draw that up properly. Just get my mouse working nicely. Okay, so that's that 33 mark just in here, supporting at 33. So we've been bouncing around. You can see it's sort of been oscillating around there. Did have a bit of a washout lower, down to about 30, and then picked back up, sort of holding around that 32, 33 mark. So it's good to see when you see a capital raising at a certain price, whatever it may be, and price holding there, it's quite positive. A lot of the times you get these capital raisings and they sell off down to the price, obviously, because it's generally going to entice the bigger players in with the capital raising at a good price. When you see it hold up around there, it's quite nice. You don't want to see, the last thing you want to see is that capital raising and sell off straight down through that price. So this instance, if we had a 33 capital raising and price went straight down to 27 and even retested and washed out that zone, you'd be a bit concerned. There's always something someone knows, but when you see price hold up and it's holding above that 27 and it's holding the higher low, and then you get that news announcement of the FDA approval, and we've seen that push straight up into resistance. Now it has worked its way back down, but now what we wanted to see, it did get that washout like most markets around over Trump, over the elections, that bit of a washout. Now we want to see, I'm not drawing that very well, we want to see these high lows build and just work its way back up, back up and through that 55 zone. So when we see that, we want to see price holding, buyers stepping into the market and supporting it, and then for a potential setup. Okay, so that's what, again, once we see our risk parameters play out and we can see a high low to work from, and you can see these whoever's bought it up down through here is probably just been washed out of the market, and you want to see them, there's enough people on the sidelines to start buying in. The longer term play, people have been boarded in from down at 27 are still looking good, and we want to see new people stepping into the market and just holding those high lows for a setup. Obviously our setup, what we like to see is that type of thing. So we have to wait to see that. Still a bit of work to do at the moment, but the potential is definitely there. Alright, let me just HSA, okay, we'll take a look at that in a second. Diving down 51 points. Okay, it's dropped 10 or 15 points. Okay, sorry, Emery, didn't see that. Given AHZ has had two pushes up through into 55 and then failed, would you be worried it just stalled there again? Well, it could, but I think this push up here, okay, that's all sort of within context, okay, and it's built off this high low, this low at 27.5, and we got that push up there, but it's still within that resistance zone. Now that we can see that buyers have stepped in, we've had a capital raising, there's more players in there at 33, and we've had some good news out of FDA approval. The story's behind there, it's behind this stock at the moment. Just bear with me 1 second. Sorry guys, just had to jump off there for a second. Alright, so we can see, like I was saying, we've had that push up to 55, and it's still within context of this move down, and then we've built that high low. So after that first push up to 55, like I was saying, capital raising and a push up, and we've sort of broken through this downtrending resistance zone. So it looks to me that's a really good sign. So we could just consolidate, you don't know, we could just consolidate through here, held at 55. That could be the case. Just go in consolidation and just hold those, or even contract a bit lower. But what we want to see ideally is holding higher lows. So that's just evidence that buyers are stepping into the market. It could be capped there, but the story behind it is looking good, and you've got FDA approval. It's going to bring in some longer term players as well. That's what we'd expect to see. If you can build, I would love to see, we'll just go through. What I'd love to see, say this is, longer term, that's that move down from here. We've got support, and then we've got an inside level here, which we've spent some time sort of mucking around in there, and then popped up. Well, that wasn't very nice. All right, we popped up to that 55, retested it, and we have come all the way back down. What I think I'd like to see is even, if we can work our way off this level, holding higher lows, and even a more major high low, but just contraction. That's what we always like to see. And you can see, even if it is, we've got that initial breakthrough resistance, hit 55, sold back off, but we are holding down at that 33 mark. And if we can push up off the 33 and contract, that's where you'll get that thrust, and then you've got that, it's just better price structure, and there's a longer term price structure building. Yeah, Chris, we'll have another look at gold just in a minute. All right, so that's what I'd love to see, and then you sort of get those moves, and they attack that quite strong, especially when it spends a lot of time doing it too. At the moment, if it just pushed straight up, it's probably going to be news release that's going to do that, but you'll see that the news release has been there. That is going to bring in the buyers, all the fundamentals of it, the longer term players, and there's going to be people holding the high lows. That's what we'd like to see, and then that initial thrust and acceleration. I think once we get through 55, we may come back and retest it, and we may just accelerate straight up, and that's what you want to see. You want to see that breakthrough. Once we get through 55, I think it's going to really bring in some players then. Especially if we test back up there again, and especially off of the nice longer term, well structured base. Does that make sense there? Yeah, if you didn't know the fundamentals behind it, it might not be so attractive. Well, that's true, but I think it's what we're looking at, and this is the reason why we're looking at it. We know that if you weren't looking at this and you didn't know any fundamentals about it, any fundamentals behind the picture, you're right. You probably look at it just at a glance and say, okay, it's got some work to do, like we just mentioned. And you can see it's got a few levels to get through, but it's coming off a really strong base, so you just have to sit there and wait, I guess, and just wait to see your setup, see the high lows build, see the buyers stepping in, and then you can structure a trade around that. Yeah, true. And that's the beauty of these type of inside setups. You can see the high low, so you're looking for that accelerator move. I mean, when you get the market contracting in on itself, sooner or later that's going to go. And if you can see the high lows are building into it, and buyers are starting to step in at slightly higher prices, sooner or later you expect that acceleration. That's what you're trying to get. Now, if it just pushes up into 55, I think that's going to generate more interest especially if we get a spike through it. And then that way, even if it does pull back, you've got something locked in. And if you just structure your trade properly, you could just have a break-even trade at the very minimum. So, yeah, it's all about the setup. And obviously, that's what we're going to be alerting to. We'll keep an eye on this one for sure. Now, let's go on to the third one before we get too caught up. NTI. Let's go over here. Now you can see, obviously, what date was that? That was only back on the 4th of November when it come on. At around, I don't know what it probably. I'm assuming around 25 cents was the float. Who knows what the actual the price was, the capital raising price, or not the capital raising, but the float price. We had that good push up, and it got to 33.5, and it's just worked its way down. Took out the lows. Obviously, a bit of, you don't know where people are holding it from. There might be a 10 cent, and then when it come onto the ASX, it was at 25 cents. Anyone that's got on really early, just profit taking at least. But then it's held 24, and it's been working its way up the last few days. Obviously, technically, not a lot of data on this one, not a lot to look at. But the story, I think the story could prove a lot of potential. I like this one because I will just go through the story first. Neurotech International Limited, St George's Terrace. Okay, so that's obviously the office is in Sydney. NTI researches, designs, markets, and through third-party manufacturers produces wearable neurotechnological or technology devices to assist with neurological conditions such as autism. I think that's a key thing. Obviously, autism is a big thing. Anything that's going to help out that, I think, has got a lot of potential. Neurotech's current core focus is the design, manufacture, sale, and distribution of its first product, Menti. Menti is a portable, EEG, I'll be struggling to say that, sorry, medical device that uses neurofeedback to help relax the minds of children with autism spectrum disorder. Okay, so we know, obviously, autism is a big thing. So that the potential for this, if it kicks off and it really gets this product off the ground, I think earlier on, this could really go. I'm expecting to see a nice move up through, what's the high there? 34 and a half. Push up through there. It's blue skies from there. So generally, when you see listed at 20 cents, thanks Dave. So listed at 20 cents. So you had it, what did we get down? It got down to 25. It did wash out. What did you get down to? Low of 23 and a half. So anyone's got the listed price at 20, bought it in the bought originally before it floated, then they're still up and everyone's looking good. So everyone's happy at the moment. So if we get that into blue skies, it could drag in buys. I'm expecting through a high of 34 and a half. And it's blue skies from here. I mean, no one knows where it's going to go. It's got a good fundamental base to it. The potential for it to really kick on is quite high. So this thing could really accelerate. I mean, obviously, technically, it's really hard to base it off there because it's I'm getting a bit of stick from Devon there with the pronunciation. I'm horrible with those sorts of things. Anyone's better than me, welcome to get on. So through 34 and a half, clear skies. Again, if you base your trade around that, just breaking through those highs at 34, as long as that 32 holds up, not a lot of risk on there, and for it to accelerate would be great. Now, obviously, there's not much to talk about the technical side of this one because there's not much data there, only a few days data, but I think if they really kick on, we can see some big things here. Now, the last one is RAP. Not so much the fundamental story we like. Let's just take a quick look at that. If we can draw that one up there. Alright, just bear with me a sec. Just 1 minute there, guys. So you can see that weekly push up. It's been very strong. It's been very nice from, say, 2.5 cents. It's around that 40, 41 mark at the moment. That looks big, but it's in context. It's not massive. It can easily just keep pushing up higher, holding those higher lows. But that you can see that technically is very nice. If we just focus in on that a bit, that's the weekly. Don't forget. See, holding really nice high lows. Had a really nice setup. What was that, way back in April 2016. Nice setup there. Contracted lower, still holding a higher low, built that higher low, and then bang, we had that accelerated move up. So that's ideally what we're looking for. We can probably get that on the daily. Okay, so it's the same here. You can see that contraction down there. Probably it's only a minor level through 20. Retested that zone, and then we built a minor higher low there, and we pushed up through 25. So that type of setup, we like to see that. The overall trend, longer term trends up. We saw that on the weekly. It's still holding that trend higher. You want to see some contraction in. You can see what we ideally like to see is just contraction in the longer term trends up, contraction just to wash out a few late longs. It might have got it up towards 30. Makes them nervous when you see these lower highs build. That's what we want to see. Wash them out. They get back on the sidelines, and they may be edgy to start again. You jump back in, still like the story. We don't know how they're trading, but that's the story. You get that contraction in, and sooner or later the price has to do something. And when you start seeing these higher lows hold and a break up out of that contraction, we're expecting an accelerated move. Okay, just in expansion. Generally, you can see the time spent contracting in on itself was. Oh, we're going to have to go back to the say from mid-March to end of May, about a month, so it's probably about 2 months worth, and really, about 3 weeks you had a good strong push up. So the risk reward is really attractive there. So that's ideally what we're looking for. We've got it again there, a big washout of what was that, 47, 48, and then we started getting those lower highs, and that's after a nice contracted move. So nice expansive move. So anytime we get that a strong accelerated move higher, we expect this type of price action. I think Davin was mentioning a while ago, probably about a week ago, of the different phases of the markets. All right, so you just want to, when you see this type of price action, not a strong move up, and that's contraction over a long period of time, you're expecting an accelerated move up. When you get that, I would be inclined just to be looking for some sort of contractive action. Whether it comes all the way back down, then you're just picking out your key levels. Whether it comes back down to test a key level, whether it holds up, builds that high low, which it did just in here through about 28 cents. Then we want to see now is the expansion out of that contraction zone, and we ideally would like to see a higher low hold. All right, we didn't. That was probably a tough one to trade. We didn't quite see that, but we did see a longer term, higher low. This is all within context of that high at 48. I'm starting to get, it's like Mr. Squiggle again. Let's just delete all that off. All right. So that's ideally what we're looking for on RAP. Yeah. So like we look at, so this is a popular stock with retail traders. So you do get a lot of these, accelerated moves higher. People are jumping in a bit late, a lower high build, and then just get that washout. So that's what we continually want to see. You got that move up to 33, bit of a contraction lower, bit of a washout, that accelerated move up. As people get in and out of this stock, whether it's intraday traded, we don't know. Obviously, going to be a lot of action during the day. What we're seeing right now is we've seen that contraction lower with the lower highs. Okay, and we've had some lower lows build as well, and we had that big washout down to 37.5 or 37. Again, over when the market got smacked the other day. Now that's a nice washout, and it did come down to support. There's only a minor level through there, but you can see it's just touched down on support. Everything sort of coincided there. The market's still contracting, so ideally what we want to see here is that we've seen the longer term hold. We can see that push up, lower highs building, lower lows, big washout down to support, and we're currently just pulling back. So what we'd like to see, if we change colors, is maybe a bit more contraction, but some minor inside high lows build. And if you get that, and then we get that break out of that contraction, we're looking for that accelerated move higher. Whether we break up first, then pull back, a bit more contraction, then go, is yet to be seen. But that's what we want to see. We want to see some higher lows where we see evidence of buyers stepping into the market, breaking out of that contraction, and then we want to be able to catch that accelerated move up. And that you'd expect us to take us up through 55 and continue that longer term trend higher. All right. So again, this is the type of thing we look up with the TradeSetup app. We're looking at. We want to see evidence of risk reward could be playing out, and we want to be able to justify our risk or quantify our risk with some higher lows. And we want to see building. We want to ideally just get in for that accelerated move. That's what we're looking at pretty much most of the time, coming out of contraction into expansion. All right. Now, we got a couple of things people were suggested to look at. Down 45. Let's just take a quick look at that XJO just to see what's happening here. ASX 200. Let's go back down to the 30-minute chart. Yeah, okay, so we've broken down through that support level at 53.23. You can see that it's been a good move up. We still got that key level down at 52.84. We could just be contracting off those highs. We had about that wash out of the high at 53.82. Wash out of this high up here. You can see that holding higher lows, and then we're just going back and just washing out some of these late long positions. So whether we see this type of action, we're building just that washout, come back in, retest. It's like a head and shoulders formation, and we're getting that washout at the moment. So we could just get that type of action. And if we start seeing from here, what we ideally want to see is those high lows form. We don't know where. If this level can hold up at 52 or 85 zone, retest that, maybe even wash out that zone and build those high lows off there, and work our way back up towards those highs at 53.80 to 85. We'll see how that plays out. But really, it's just broken down through that support at the moment. So it's going to be interesting what happens over in the US session. You can see that it is stretched into that support though. All right. Just bear with me 1 second there, guys. Alright, just back again, guys. So what was the other thing in gold? We'll take another quick look at gold. Someone mentioned a stock up here. HSO. Ooh. Alright. Just quickly looking at that one there. She's been belted the last, what was that? Last few days or week or so. What was that? Health scope. Yeah, that's been, I don't know what happened there. Let's just see if there's any news. That was back on the 21st. Results of the meeting. Something wasn't taken too well by the market, obviously. So what do you got there, Paul? Well-known stock market commentator Roger Montgomery is really pushing health scope. Yeah, to me, I mean, there's not. I don't see. Everyone's got their different opinions. I don't see too much just at the moment. Just quickly have a look at that. Yeah, it is right down on support. That doesn't mean anything. There's no reason why this can't just topple over and just wash out $2, $2.10, and really push a lot lower. We don't know just yet. Just got all that data. You know, it's a big strong move down. I'd say there's a lot to be done just yet before I'd even be anywhere near this one just at the moment. Let's just draw that up. So for anyone that could be interested in this, that's not what I want to do. Okay. So that's you know, sort of that key zone, that down at $2.10. It's had that big push down, and really, if you remember the monthly, it looks like it's massive. You know, it's been up there twice now, 315. What was that high? High 315. You know, 2 cents. It pushed through 2 cents a couple of months ago, and then just completely capitulated right down to support. So, just remembering that's more than anything, it's just massive trading zone. You know, between $2.10 and 315, a good size consolidation zone. At the moment on that scale, it's not trending at all. It could just be bouncing around between resistance and support. Now, in saying that, we are down at a support zone, but I still, you know, we pushed down, had that minor, very minor bounce, another sort of retest. That's that second retest in here, and we're just pushing up from there. But I still see that as having a lot of work to do. It could be pushing down. You want to see it hold a higher low, and even some contraction before doing anything there. There's no reason why this couldn't, you know, from here we've got that type of price action for a buy opportunity. But again, like I said, it's got a lot of work to do. You can see this MAs are really still spreading apart. We don't know what's going to happen whether more sellers come in. People are getting sick of it. They've held it for a long time. Maybe they hold it from way back in the start of this year. Had that push up, missed opportunity to take some profits. Had a big sell off, and then, you know, this thing could roll over. So if they're happy to hold it here, that's the type of price action you'd want to see. If not, so what we're getting, oh, that didn't work. Let's get that out of the way. Now, why isn't that working for me? Alright, we've had that push up. For a short, you've got to be careful that we're not just going to see this type of price action work its way down and eventually just capitulate through. That's what I'd hate to see. So I still, you know, it's very much in the unknown at the moment for me. There's still a lot of price action to push through. Does that make sense there, Paul, on that one there? So yeah, if he's pushing it, that'll be interesting to see how that going goes. Let's take another look just at gold. Chris. Let's just take a look at, we've got the gold chart up there before, just take another look at that just to finish off with. Let's get out of that. Let's go to a longer term chart there, 4 hourly. So I think before we're just chatting about this one here, Chris, on gold. Really, the key level that we want to see hold is, it's through here, is that 1200, 1205. Now at the moment we've had a bit of reaction off there. It has held, did get that washout back in May 2016, and that produced that leg up to 1375, and then we've contracted down, big push through. Really, that was I think it was a daily level that broke when we pushed down to 1250, and then we worked our way back off that level. We were expecting to see at that stage, just continues, we're expecting to see it push down and then start holding some high lows. That's what we would want to see, and then that accelerated move higher. Instead, we can see what happened. It had a big push up to 1342 where it found further resistance, and you could see that was really just holding that trend down. Just held that and then capitulated since then. So now what we want to see is, draw that in a different color. What we want to see is, for longer term, we don't want to see really a push through, pop back up and build lower highs back into that zone, because that could just really take us a lot lower. But at the moment, it's early days yet. I think there's a lot of work to do still off that zone. What we'd ideally for a long position, we still like gold. I mean, yeah, it's been belted the last couple of days, but there's no reason. Not going well there. Let's just delete that. We want to see, even if it retests that zone, and we want to see it perk up off there and just hold some higher lows and work its way back up. Another accelerator might go to 1250, and then if it can come back down, wash out some of these late long positions, and then again build a major high low for that move up. Right, so I think just by saying that, there's just a lot of work I think for this market to do still. I mean, it's had a heavy sell-off there, and that's even against the US dollar's been sold down. You'd expect with the US dollar sold down, just gold alone should have held up, but it didn't. I think it's on the back of this positivity in the US. So with the Trump being elected. All right. Anything else, guys, you want to have a quick look at? Righto, we'll call it a day there, guys. Thanks very much for joining us. Yeah, phone going there. Thanks very much for joining us. Yeah, keep an eye on those three stocks, MVP, AHZ, and NTI. We will definitely, through the alert service, we'll definitely be keeping an eye on those, and we want to see, and we'll be alerting to those once we see those setups that hold our risk parameters, and we see what we want to see. Then we'll be alerting to those. But at the moment, they're looking good. We just want to see that price action build. I think the story behind it's looking nice. Sounds very nice and very positive. So yeah, just keep an eye on those. Again, we'll do something. We'll put out an alert later on this afternoon. Things for the stream for tomorrow. Anyway, keep an eye out for that. Thanks for joining us. If you've got any questions at all, just send it through to support@tradesetup.com.au. All right, cheers guys. Bye.